Hello everyone, and thank you for joining me today. Now I was going to do Carla Cosmetics, some of my stash that you saw in last week's live, and gradually work through them this week, doing different looks. So that's what I had planned today. And then Charlotte Tilbury released her Glowgasm palette, and I thought, let's just remind people what that looks like. Now, really interestingly, when they were first released, this is what they looked like. She brought out two. One was called Lovegasm and the other one was called Lightgasm. Now, what's interesting, certainly on VIP release, is that she's only released Lovegasm. So, not sure about that. But let me just show you so you can see the difference between the two. I know that's not going to be super helpful because you can only get the one, but just so that you can see the two side by side to remind you what they look like. Okay, so these are the two. So this one underneath is called Lightgasm, and this one is Lovegasm. Okay, and this is the one that she's re-releasing. So I'm going to swatch you. I'm not going to swatch you these because it's just going to annoy you and you can't get it anymore. I think probably what she's realised is that most people would go for the darker one now anyway. I don't think it really matters. I'm going to swatch these and then I'm going to tell you a little bit about them and then I'm going to do a look. As part of the collection, she's also brought out a darker shade of Pinkgasm Beauty Light Wand and a lip product, which is kind of two lip jewels or jewel lips, which I'll be showing you shortly when I get the darker version. Okay, I'm also going to put a link to my previous review, which will have Lightgasm in if you just are intrigued to see it anyway. Now, these four shades are Highlight, Multi-Glow, Pop Blush, and Bronze. Okay. Now, I do remember, without referring to my previous video, what frustrated me a little bit about this palette. And I'm going to be honest, I haven't reached for this very much. So I'm going to be intrigued to go back to it and kind of remind myself. But I think one of the reasons I got a bit frustrated is because you see all these patterns on here where it's got glow and love and whatever. What I found is that you really had to break through that pattern before you got the proper pigment showing through. It felt quite hard, and I realised that there was kind of a film over the top where they'd pressed it and put the pattern in. So if you get it and you feel like it's not giving you the pigment you'd like, stick with it. It's the coating on the top. Okay. Now you probably also noticed that the bronzer is very matte and it's not as pigmented as some of her other bronzers. All right, but it's very good. You could almost get away with using that as a contour shade as well. Okay. Now what else is there to say about this palette? Obviously, it's a multi-use palette, so you can use it on your eyes, you can use it on your cheeks, but that's the same with any palette, okay? Now, you do get a lot for your money. It is, they're £60 now, which is a lot of money. I can't remember whether they were that when I originally bought them, but you do get quite a lot of product, so they're 4 times 3.8 grams of product. You're not going to run out of it anytime soon. So I'm going to just dig in and do a little look for you. First of all, I'm going to apply it to my cheeks, warm up my complexion, and then we'll have a go at using it on the eyes. Right, I have just gone from doing my previous video where I put like a cream bronzer underneath my powder, setting powder, but it doesn't matter. You're still going to see this. So I'm going to load my brush up with this and I'm going to put it on like a bronzer. And I do want to load it up quite a bit because I do remember that it isn't super pigmented. I still haven't broken through that much of the film on this one. So let me just put some on this side so that you can see. You can see it. Now what I'm gonna do is I'm also gonna contour with it. I'm gonna just put some on with this contour brush like this so that you can see what that looks like. I'm just gonna put it on this cheek for a minute so you can see the difference. It just doesn't have the same kind of pigment as your bronzers, but hopefully you'll see more on the eyes. Not showing up super well, is it? But you don't really necessarily want it to be super noticeable, a bronzer. Now, let's go in with, there's two shades, as I said, of the blush. You've got the blush and then you've got the, whatever she calls it, the multi-pop blush, which is kind of almost like, they're both very shimmery shades. So you've got this darker pink and then you've got this peach shade. All right, so I'm going to go in first of all with the darker one, and I'm going to get myself, no, I'm going to use this same brush actually. I'm going to go in with the darker shade, which is, yeah, this one, the one on the top. Right, you can definitely see that one. Lovely pop of colour, and it's got a lovely shimmer to it, but the shimmer doesn't accentuate texture in the skin. It's quite a flattering shimmer. Now the pot one is lovely because it's a bit lighter, and you can almost get away with using this as a highlighter. Can you see? It just gives you that when you turn your face. And then finally, I'm going to go in with the highlighter, which is a champagne colour. Let me just show you that one. Oh, I've put it over the top of the other one. Let's try another finger. There we go. Champagne colour. And I'm going to put that on with my setting brush. Now, if you actually dampen your brush, if you really want a super glow, then you can dampen your brush. So let me just show you what happens if I do that. I'll just dampen my brush with a bit of this and I'll be right back. Okay, let's go in now. Now you can see it really pops then. So if you really want it to super glow, then you can just dampen your brush. Let me just go in with a little bit of the lighter one of the two blushes, the kind of pot blush, and put some of that underneath. Because I do love this shade. Now, you don't have to necessarily wet the brush. The other thing is you could apply it all and then use the setting spray afterwards. But it's just a way of really intensifying the shimmer to it. Let me put a little bit down my nose of the highlighter with my damp brush. And a little bit over my brows. Let's go all out glowy. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my Charlotte Cosmetics Fix Base before I put this on my eyes, which is similar to wetting the brush. It's a gel that's sort of going to give it something to cling to, and it's going to make it oomph, right? But you can do that by putting down any kind of eye primer. But this one is a clear gel base. So I'm going to show you that, and then I'm going to go in with the eyeshadows. I mean, not the eyeshadows. What am I saying today? Sorry, guys. I've been in a lot of pain today, and it's making me talk gibberish. I'm going to go in with the colours on my eyes, okay? But let me just show you this Charlotte Cosmetics Fix Base, and then we'll put on the eyeshadows, and they will be, they're not eyeshadows. I'll put on the pigments, and then they'll really pop. I got there eventually. I'm leaving it in. What the hell? So this is the fixing gel, and as you can see, it's clear. It's just a clear gel, and you don't actually need a lot of it. And I'm just going to take some out of the lid, because there's enough in the lid. And I'm going to put some of that on my mobile lid and let it dry down before going in with these shimmer shades. And what I'll do is I will put the matte bronzer in my crease. So I'll be right back in a minute, just after this dries down a little bit, because you don't want to put it on when it's wet. You want to let this go tacky. See you in a minute. Okay, so that has actually gone tacky now. I'm going to use this shade here, and I'm going to put this on my mobile lid. Do you know what? I'm going to press it in the skin even more by putting it on with my fingers. That's better. Now, on the outer part, I'm going to put this darker shade. And again, I'm going to just go in with my fingers. I prefer putting shimmer shades on with my fingers. There you can see the shade. And I'm just going to do that. And in fact, I might do it in the inner corner as well, just to do a little halo effect. So when you've got the lighter shade in the middle and the darker shades on the outside, gives you that halo effect. And then what I'm going to do is add a bit of this highlighter as well over the top of that middle shade, just to really make it multi-dimensional and to also blend all the shades together. Right, now I'm going to take the matte bronzing shade with my brush, and I'm going to, this is the one, as I say, if you look at that one, I've now dug into where the layer is, but this one, I'm having to dig a little bit deeper to really get through that barrier, because I haven't used this a lot. So I'm just going to go in like this. It's really pretty. I'd forgotten how pretty this look is on the eyes. This actually reminds me on the eyes of Charlotte Darling. Okay, I'm going to take this highlighting shade on my pinky and just press that under my brow. And then I'm going to get a liner brush and start doing a little bit underneath my eyes. Okay, now taking my liner brush, I'm just going to mix the two blush shades, and I'm going to take it here underneath, because this will really lighten up the eyes. And then in the center, I'm going to put the highlighter shade, because that was a little trick that one of the makeup artists at Charlotte Tilbury taught me with this palette, is to put the highlighter shade in the center underneath as well as over the top. And then I'm going to take the brown matte shade and I'm going to take that out in the corner. And I'm going to use it on my top lid as well. But I am going to intensify the top line as well. Right, now what I'm going to do off camera is I'm going to put on some powder pencil in black. I'm going to put some Charlotte Tilbury eye cheat on the bottom, and I'll put my mascara on and do my brows, and I'll be right back to finish this look off with some lipstick. Okay, my face is probably looking a little bit wet at the moment because I've just sprayed it with some airbrush. But actually what I did in my waterline is I used this gel crayon from MAC, and it's in the shade The Last Word, because I thought I'd use a drop shadow, which is one of my lovely tricks, a contrasting shade to the warm shades of the eyeshadow. Okay, now I mentioned in the voiceover earlier that she's also bringing out a darker pinkgasm, which I've ordered. Now I don't have it yet, but just to remind you of what pinkgasm looks like, I'm going to put a little bit of this over the top of this look to give me an even greater glow than I already have. And actually, equally, I think peachgasm would go just as well with this look. So I just got a big blob of it coming out there. So I'm just applying this side with my fingers. And then she's also bringing out a lip product, Jewel Lips, which again I haven't received, but I have a really nice lipstick that I think will go with this look, and I'm going to put that on now. But don't go anywhere, because I have one last tip for this eyeshadow look before I go. But let's get this on next. Okay, that lip liner was Hot Gossip. And now over the top of it, I think this will work really well, is Island Dream. So that is the Lovegasm Palette look. I'm just going to zoom in so you can see what it looks like. Right, I'm coming back with that last little hint for the eyeshadow. Okay, I've moved into my unglamorous kitchen just for the last bit, because I had to get off that chair. I have to keep moving, or or my knee just seizes up. Anyway, the last little tip. If you don't have the Carla Cosmetics gel that I used, and you want to use something else that's going to just help it to really zing, using that on your eyes, I just thought these are the two products that I told you about on my live last week. The must-have, my number one must-have of Charlotte Tilbury. I'm going to link it. They come in a set, and it's got the Smoky Pillow Talk and the Pillow Talk. If you put this on first and then use the Lovegasm palette over the top, it will work beautifully. I'm going to swatch you what the Lovegasm shades look like, and then what they look like over the top of this. All right, so you'll see that before you finish, and then a mug shot of me. Hope this has been helpful, and tomorrow I will join you to talk about a Carla Cosmetics eyeshadow, one of the many that I bought for my birthday. Love you all. Mwah. And I just had to come back and show you that I tried out putting the colour chameleon on over the top, just to intensify the look. And this is what it looks like. I'm definitely going now. Have a lovely day. See you all soon. Mwah.